Hello and welcome to FinextraTV. I'm Liam Xavier and you join us here at EBAday 2026 in Copenhagen. With me right now is Roisin Levine, the Head of UK and Europe Partnerships at Wise Platform. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now we're talking a little bit about fintech firms and this change towards sort of the industry as it is now. Now part of that is new technologies, multi-currency accounts and new speed. What impact would you say the fintech firms and the industry has had on the wider FX market?
So I think when we look at last 5 years, you sort of see a world that's become more global. So this is consumers remitting more, businesses also transacting more internationally as soon as they start up their business. And I think what fintechs have done very well is kind of change the expectations for customers in this kind of new global marketplace. So we look at this a lot at Wise, but the expectation at one point was that cross-border money movement would be quite slow, often quite expensive. And really over the last 5-10 years, that's dramatically changed, right? So people now anticipate that a transfer shouldn't necessarily take 1 or 2 days. It also shouldn't cost a huge amount, right? So people don't like the expectation that the amount that might arrive on the other side of the world is different to what they expect. So what we see is this kind of movement of a shift towards things becoming more instant. And that's driven by also the way that we interact in our daily lives, other apps that we have on our phone, things like that, and the domestic kind of payment schemes that we see now as well. But also this idea around transparency and understanding of what are the fees that I'm going to incur, how much is going to arrive. And I think that fintechs has played a big role in that changing expectation. And this is kind of continually something that sort of pushes, I guess, the whole market to think about what are the better experience that I can provide to my customers here.
And there are a lot of options going on. We often talk about how it's pretty much easier for banks and fintech firms to offer these digital things. But when it is that easy, or simple, perhaps that's a bit over the top, but when it is that simple, how do they still differentiate themselves and show themselves as actually unique?
So it's kind of fair to say that I guess there's more options than ever in how you move money and different rails and things like that, but actually there is a lot of complexity still behind the schemes to make something work very well, right? To ensure that you can deliver a payment instantly takes a lot of thinking and technology and optimization and that kind of thing. And so I think the players that ultimately will win in the space are the ones that kind of embrace the fact that there is that complexity, there's optionality now, but ultimately for the customer, all they care is the money moves and it moves reliably and it moves cheaply and it moves very quickly. And those that can kind of, I guess, extrapolate away the complexity and actually make it really simple and ensure the customer journey is one that's really slick, I think are the ones that will ultimately win the space. So we talk a lot about what's that front-end experience look like for a customer. They don't need to really understand the complexities on the back end, but actually they just want to know if I select this currency, these are the fees I'll pay and this is when the money will arrive. And we work really hard at Wise to make that something that's important as well.
And we've seen a lot of the banks and the fintechs partner together a lot more out of necessity a lot of the times. How can they make sure that they're actually still retaining a competitive advantage? I
think this is kind of an interesting one because the way we see it is we have this luxury at Wise of having 8,000 people be able to focus just on cross-border payments. And for a lot of banks out there, there is a domestic banking service they're providing to their customers. They're not always able to be experts in every manner of different things around international payments. So for us, there's kind of this nice mutual benefit. You can leverage some of the infrastructure, some of the focus that a company like Wise has been able to have in the market, 15 years thinking about just solving that one pain problem for customers. And take some of those learnings and actually provide a really great experience to your customers ultimately. So when we see kind of partnerships like that, where you're leveraging some of the best of what fintech offers, providing it to the banks who have that trusted relationship to a customer, I think this is where it really works well.
Really, really interesting. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.